Welcome back to the Daily Nugget, daily property insights, one topic, 20 minutes or less, 7 days a week. Myself, Lawrence Lotze, and today joined by Andrew Armstrong, a mortgage specialist and fellow property investor. And AJ, question to you today. The RMA amendment bill, or the changes that a lot of people would have seen in the news, if you don't understand, it's the ones about putting more houses on one section, higher up, triple story, all that sort of stuff that's happened recently in the news. Let's have a discussion about that and what it is and what it fundamentally means.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good to be back, Lawrence, Daily Nugget. So there's been a big government announcement that's come out recently, seemingly on the cards, but out of nowhere in terms of how soon and the sort of details, which are actually to be finalised and made clear. But from our understanding, it essentially means that if you've got a decent size section or a house section, you now may be able to build up to 3 houses, up to 3 stories high on that section, whereas in the past it might have only just been a single house able to be built there. So it's a pretty I guess exciting development for some people. Probably a bit of a shock for others who don't want their neighbourhoods three houses and 3 stories tall, basically looking in your back window. Yep. But yeah, we're certainly starting to see a bit of activity from our clients wanting to know a bit more about it.
So what, in a nutshell, have they provided? I know they were talking about a percentage and a height and amount. Is there any of that sort of details that the bill provides at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, there's some proposals that are coming through, and it has been off topic within councils and the government, due to come up in something like 2024 in the past, I believe. But from what we can see, is it's been pulled forward by a couple of years. There will be something like 11 meters high, with a reduction in the requirement for height to boundary ratios.
Yep.
And how close you can get to the edge of your section, the back section, side sections, forward sections. Reduction in impervious surfaces. I think the proposal was essentially you're allowed to do 50% coverage on these sites that can be further developed, which is significant coverage. And then I believe there's something like 10% coverage for the likes of driveways and pavements and that sort of things. So.
And you're saying at the moment that these are just proposals, right? There's nothing. This is just the government talking. There's nothing locked in as yet.
Yeah, I think like anything, that they've made this announcement. They said, hey, this is what it's going to possibly be. This is what we, why are we doing it? We're trying to increase the amount of houses that are available in the major cities. Auckland, Wellington, Christchurch, I think Tauranga is in there as well, Hamilton, and we're trying to open up land for development and make it easier for people to actually develop. So removing the requirement for resource consent, as long as you're building within the sort of parameters that are proposed or finally going to be set. And I believe that they're going to have confirmation within about 10 to 12 months. So
so that's one thing I wanted to ask you about. Is the biggest thing I think a lot of people, depending where you sit, if you're on the investor side or if you're the mom and dad or a son at home with a nice family home and residential, is this whole thing of no resource consent. There's this talk about if you build within this framework or this new framework, which is, hey, I can take up 50% of my land mass, I can go 11 meters high, and I don't need resource consent. So in theory, if you live on a 400 square meter section, which seems small to some people, but is the common practice in Auckland at the moment, if I take 50% of that, that's 200 squares, and I go 11 meters high, it means I can build up to 600 squares, possibility, give or take, of property on that one section, which will be, maybe multi-units, top and bottom, from that source, and I don't need resource consent. Is that sort of fundamentally what they're talking about?
Yeah, I think there's definitely going to be some, rules and exceptions ironed out, but, the crux of the proposal may allow that. Yeah, so it's going to change the landscape of most of our cities, and whether or not that's a good or a bad thing. Imagine a 3-story, house just sort of popping up where it used to just only be one story high. it's certainly going to be a shock to a lot of people, and you might find that some of the neighbours get quite upset about that. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's pushback in certain neighbourhoods as well.
Oh, there would be. My biggest thing is I understand the need to remove paperwork and tape and get things through the process quicker. I spoke with this about recently on one of my other long form podcasts with Car and Goss. But no resource consent to be able to do that. Just the biggest thing, and I don't want to go into it because it's the Daily Nugget, but my biggest worry is about the Cowboys. My biggest worry is about I follow the rules, so therefore within the rules I do whatever I want, and the impact that it will have on the landscape of real estate. Not that it's, hey, we're going to have 1,000 more houses a month or a year and that stuff, and it solves that problem. We're going to have a slum that's not built to a great quality, and we're going to have those dilemmas as well.
Yeah. Hey, interesting to see where it goes. But don't forget that there's still building consent, so you still need to be able to build a house of quality that needs to be signed off and built to standards. And if it's not, then you find that the council comes and tells you to pull your sort of 11 metre high pile of rubbish down if you don't do it correct. And of course you've got to apply by whatever rules they finally set out of that land use and the requirement to have an exemption to the resource consent. So let's see where that one ends up.
Yep. Awesome. Thanks so much for that, AJ. And as always, to anyone that's having a listen or watch today, if you have any questions for myself or AJ, the details will be in the description, depending on which platform you are. And as always, thanks for coming over to the Daily Nugget, Daily Property Insights, one topic, 20 minutes or less, 7 days a week. And as always, hope to